We gotta rush them. We gotta kick them. What we gotta do is get in and get the. All right, let's go. Come on now. Hey, we'll put the bass on.
Okay. Clearly, this wasn't the results that we wanted, but, you know, there's a lot of good things to look at here. Russell Wilson, he went with 450 yards of passing. I have a pick sheet that I do for certain picks, and I went with, of all people, Aaron Rodgers, which I shouldn't have. But there was no way in my heart that I would have thought that this kind of points would have been scored. You could have knocked me over with a feather that this much points would be in this game. But it shows you that if you open the playbook, it shows you that what I had told all you guys previously, that this team has more if you utilize your tools in your tool chest. Now, speaking of which, you know what my pet peeve is the usage of tight ends. You need to use your tight ends in a very judicious way. And again, the little play, the scatterbo, little flare pass, you got your tight end there for those plays. There's more likelihood that, one, you could break a tackle, and two, you might be able to go ahead and get the go-ahead touchdown. I love utilizing tight ends on rollouts with the quarterback where you're mirroring his movement. So if you're on the right side and Russ is going right, you roll with him so that you have a big target to throw to. Giants need to do more of that. Just saw a little bit of the Philly and KC game, and they had a beautiful play to Devonta Smith. He came inside behind the line of scrimmage. It was a quick little flare pass to him. He ran right up through the DBs for a first down. You know, that's where I like Wan'Dale Robinson for that. Why we're not seeing Hyatt or Slay in certain situations, even Slay in the little flare pattern. Configurations around the quarterback, they have to improve. You have to have more different looks. Hats off to the defense. Yeah, they did the thing. The problem is that you broke a record for the number of penalties that the Giants have ever had in like 20 plus years. The last time they had it, the Rams were playing in St. Louis in one game where it went over 145 yards. I think the Giants had 147 yards, 150 yards worth of penalties, and that really takes things away. Now, having said that, the roughing the passer call was a bullshit call. I'll say it all day. Young man came up the middle, 95. He turned his body sideways. That's just clean football. It was bullshit. And in addition, the pass interference call, they had one pass interference call, I think in the third, that was on the sideline. That was utter bullshit. I think it was on Pickens. Pickens is a beast, and out of all the people I've seen in a long time, Pickens, very much his style of running and the way he moves and the way he works with his hands reminds me so much of Plaxico Burress. And I wish the guy we had taken advantage. And I would have let Slay go for Pickens, you know, to be honest with you. And if you're going to keep Slay, you need to utilize him in the way that Pickens is being utilized. He's got the height. He's got the reach. Let's utilize this guy and get him off the bench already. I'm so disappointed because it was so close. This is our 6th year of being heading towards a sweep of the Cowboys. All roads for the Giants lead through Philadelphia and then through Dallas in terms of getting wins. And this was an extremely winnable game, just like last week's game was a winnable game. I'm happy to see that for you, those of you that watched the Thursday night game, that you saw that the Commanders are not as let's not crown them before the chance happens. And speaking of which, I couldn't think of the time that Coach Green screamed out, "We knew who they were, and we let them off the hook." That's the way I felt today. But I was happy to see that some players really got in there and made some plays. We hung in there. We had the lead for a little while. When you got a guy who can kick a football from the fucking moon and still get a good kick, I mean, what can you do? This guy can get damn near kicked from one end of the field to the other. So we got to tighten up the penalties. Certainly the offensive penalties on one guy. He had 6 penalties in the first 2 drives or something. It's ridiculous. You got to keep your eye on the ball and watch the snap count. And this is like fundamentals with your offensive line coach. This is your fundamentals with your head coach. And there seems to be a lack of discipline. I felt like the team as a whole showed up for each other today in a really big way that goes beyond coaching. But I also felt like maybe some stern words have been in the background, especially coming from a guy like Malik, who stepped up and made plays today that were amazing. Russell Wilson, please let's not talk about Jackson Dart. Leave Jackson Dart on the sideline. Let him learn some stuff. You want to bring him in for some certain special gadget plays or whatever, I'm good with that. It gives him some real-time game feeling. But other than that, it should be Russell Wilson for the whole season unless he physically cannot go. You're going to get so much out of it down the road. And it may not be that Dabols will be here for that. If they lose a bunch of games, maybe have a bunch of injuries, and they decide to move in a different direction, you will still have the imprint of what Russell Wilson did for this young man, because he will probably be your long-term guy going forward. I don't want to hear any talk about Arch Manning if we have a bad record and could get a high draft pick. Let him go somewhere else. I think that we did our run with the Manning family, and let's move on and not try to have Manning for the 3rd time, because that's what Daniel Jones was supposed to have been. He was a test tube baby from the David Cutcliffe camp that trained with Peyton and he trained with Eli, and now we're going to have, Eli 2.0. It did not work. All right? And my God bless Indiana Jones and what he's doing over there. I don't know what happened with the game. They were leading. It was the last score that I saw. I actually took the Colts on my pick sheet, because I think that Colts at home have a better defense than what people are giving them credit for. And Bo can still make mistakes. And if you get pressure on him, you might get that errant interception or so. So I just wanted to check in with you guys. It was a rough one. I was gripping the football, and I had the lucky coin, and still wasn't enough. I was close, but no cigar. But from a statistical point of view, I mean, Russ ended up with a 145 passer rating. These are most points that we've scored. If you look at last year, I think we've outscored ourselves by double practically in this one game, or in this first 2 games. So all I can hope for is that we're able to make some kind of adjustments and changes and get ready for what I believe to be Kansas City. If I'm not mistaken, I have to double check the schedule, but I believe we have Kansas City. And I would love for Philadelphia to beat them today, and for us to come back and give them a really hard time and come after them and win a close game against the Chiefs. And that's going to be something for everyone to be able to put in their pipe and say, hey, this was the team that went to the Super Bowl 2 times in a row and you beat them, So there's a lot to take away. I hope that we are able to, lick our wounds, put this behind us, and maybe get some winning going, because we need a win. And this win was there for us today, just like last week's was. with no performance, but with a possibility. And again, the defense is playing well. Just you guys keep doing what you're doing, and rotation wise, be smart. Hope Shane Bowen, we like those blitzes and keep those blitzes going and bringing pressure. I love the pressure that they were putting on Dak, and there were some opportunities there, and they just kind of slipped through our fingers. And to be in a game that close with that many penalties, really shows you that if you can clean up the penalties and make a couple extra plays, we could get something really going here. There's got to be some thought about how we deal with the middle, because we're vulnerable in the middle. And I get excited whenever I see a tight end running down the middle of the field and making plays on 15, 20-yard pass plays or chunk plays that the Giants desperately need. And I think we really should look at that going into this week's practice. Some design plays with the tight ends, okay? Mirror what's successful, and this is what's successful, and I don't understand why that's so fucking hard to do. Yeah, so with that being said, I really don't have a lot more than that, beyond let's go New York Football Giants, and chef's kiss to the defense. They really did a good job today. We just need a few more plays.